So, with regards to this movie from 3 years ago or so, well, maybe four, I suppose five, depending on when it was actually. Yeah, five, I think it was. Anyway, yeah. The Glass Castle. It's a strange one. It's a very strange one. But yeah. I mean, it's bumpy as any biography is usually, and that's the problem with biographies translated into movies. They are whatever their biographies are about. Huh? But this one, I read a basic plot of what the book had, and it seemed like it missed a few things, but not quite. It still had the main points, I suppose. So the movie seems fairly directly translated, which I suppose is why I'm a bit confused as to why some people seem to think that it rehabilitated the image of the father. I mean, she might have done it herself in the book, but she knows what she felt about him. No one can tell her really if he was worse than she thinks of him now. Of course, everyone has different opinions after everything has ended, and she wrote the book about nearly a decade after his passing, and the movie came out nearly 3 decades, I think. Yeah, 3 decades. That's a lot. Uh, no, what three? I mean two. Yeah, a bit over two. Um, so it's a bit of a strange thing, I suppose, to have a character that plays you when you're dead. Anyway, um, so yeah, but you can't really accuse a film itself of distorting facts as such, like Roper did, because if the book ended with them toasting their father, and if that truly happened, then that truly happened, as long as the movie doesn't change anything specifically, or clearly has an agenda, like say um yeah, Empire State, which I recently watched, which clearly wanted to do something, to communicate something. Anyway, let's yeah on the other hand, I mean, this is more similar to the program, which is also based on a but well, yeah, similar in the sense that this is based on her book, so she's telling her own story, so slightly different in the sense. The program is more about third party journalism, so but it's similar in the sense that both are biographies that are basically thereabouts correct, realistic. Not so much. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much that is. I mean, I haven't read the book, so I cannot say much, whether it's directly, absolutely translated. As I say, it seems to have some differences, but not major differences, really. The crucial bit, I think, that wasn't in the movie was when one of the daughters grabbed the gun and, tried to get someone away from being hostile to them. But yeah, I suppose it would have just added more aggression to the movie, which already had quite a bit of aggression. Um, otherwise, I mean, it seems like she was involved with it, and she knew what happened in her life. So it's not like it's one of those movies that has a lot of implication. How movies translated. I mean, if the program was dictated by Lance Armstrong, then it would have been obviously suspect as to whether it's accurate at all. Obviously, But in this case, it doesn't really matter. I suppose. Yeah. I mean, it seems to be, bumpy. It's not like, she seemed to indicate that her life was perfect, and yeah, if she wanted to do that, then I guess it could have been done, but she didn't. Like any life, it's not, and but that's why it's a bit strange as a movie. It's biographies are always like that, though. Biographies are always up and down. Kind of like Frida Kahlo's biography movie as well. Both had paintings as well, like this one had, and her accident and her pain and such. So, biographies don't tend to be spectacular, they tend to be realistic. As long as there's no obvious propaganda efforts, like some biographies have, but some don't. And in this case, it doesn't really matter either way. But, um, it still seemed interesting, particularly obviously the fact that, this thing with the sky and everything. So they didn't seem to be the worst possible parents, possibly, but still Langley for sure. Like after the scene with the hospital with the music playing, it was quite interesting actually. The music was quite something as well. Interesting music, yeah, to say the least. Had some beats for some reason. Doesn't normally belong in a hospital environment, but it's sort of there for the context for what happened exactly there. So, yeah. Um, mm. So, you know, it it was sort of interesting, but at the same time, not really. Still, yeah. What's interesting is how this happened, how they decided to get out and such, and how it happened for real as well. It wasn't quite explained very well, in the movie. It just ended with her piggy bank being raided and such, whereas apparently in real life, someone hired one of them and booked a ticket to New York instead of paying her, apparently. What's interesting also that the movie has nothing about, or even an indication, is that um, one of her sisters, Laurie, I think, became an Archie comic book either writer or artist. I think I'm not sure actually, but yeah, it's interesting. And somehow she got her sister to feature. Yeah, marvelous Maury was it? In reality, of course, not so marvelous because well, she tried to kill her mother apparently. Or another thing not depicted in the movie, but there's always omissions, obviously. I think this may have happened after. I'm not sure. Actually, in the movie, she is depicted as having left. I think she was the one who went to California, but I didn't read that actually happened in real life. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Ultimately, I mean, it's not really very consequential as a biography as a movie. I mean, she's just a gossip writer, so the worst thing that can happen is people gossip about her. Somehow, the book was a bestseller for a very long time. I'm not sure why. It's not exactly the most happiness-inducing book, but I don't know. People, I guess, liked it for other reasons. Just like I guess the movie is sort of likable for reasons. Um, it's a problem with drama, generally, isn't it? It's just drama. It's you know, biographies are even more usually sporadic. As in, if it's a fictional drama, then maybe it can be more consistent, internally consistent. But obviously, biographies just happen. If they're realistic, then it's whatever the biography was like. Whatever the life lived was like. So, as far as that goes, yeah. Um, so otherwise, it was sort of interesting, but it wasn't at the same time. So I don't know, one of those things, dramas, they're kind of strange things. Yeah. Paintings were interesting as well, though.